steely resolve, and sure grittiness.
It starts with an attitude. We need swagger, okay? Regardless of what happens out there. Doesn't matter. Keep your swagger.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Fhfh Fantasy Hockey Podcast. We are here to help you keep your swagger. We are hosts tonight. I'm Alan, and with me tonight is Jay. Jay, what's going on? Do you have a hockey hangover from the Frozen Frenzy last night?
Oh yeah, and of all the teams to get us over that hump, Washington and Philly tonight. I mean, it's kind of a big game. It's kind of like a pretty good one, right? 4-2 after 2.
Yeah, a little more even than I thought it'd be.
Yeah, it's I mean, I'm so sorry to all the managers because obviously everyone had full lineups and benches last night, but hopefully the guys came true for you on your actual lineup and you weren't staring at hat tricks on the bench.
Well, yeah, before we get going, real quick, just got to plug the Twitters, the Discord especially. That's where we like to take most of our mailbag questions. We got about 2,600 fantasy hockey connoisseurs in there. Coming up on 2,700. And dude, let us know. Drop a line. Let us know who scored the most points on your bench last night. But let's get right into storylines. Starting off with Pandemonium in Edmonton, guys. They're actually shaking up the power play units. Power play 1 at practice today was Arvidsson, Skinner, McDavid, Draisaitl, and then a rotation of Ekholm and Bouchard. Looks like Ekholm started off, and then they fit Bouchard in there. And then second unit was Hyman, Nuge, Henrique, Nurse, and then a rotating spot of Bouchard, Ekholm with Bouchard in first. I don't know, Jay, what's the over-under on like 5 games on this actually panning out?
I mean, they basically just rotated 2 vets with 2 vets, right? So I think this is anything and everything to try to get that team really bunching up and scoring. Hyman and Nuge, I mean, those guys were already, I think we were saying, to be the buy low targets. Do we really see Arvidsson and Skinner keeping power play 1 for a full season?
Oh God, no. No. That's what I said. Like, I don't even think they made this last 5 games. Like maybe 2 games before they just reunite the squad and give it another shot.
Could be famous last words tomorrow if Arvidsson and Skinner pound a 6-0 hat trick aside victory for the newly minted power play 1, but yeah, remains to be seen. I mean, Bouchard's got to be the staple, right? Like Ekholm, God, he's not going to be the guy running point.
I can't remember from Nashville if he has any experience. Because I feel like it's always been Yoshi, or not Yoshi, Yossi, Subban back in the day. I can't think of Ekholm getting power play 1 time.
We can't undersell that green dinosaur egg. Come on here, Alan. No. But absolutely, yeah. I mean, this is definitely a big storyline. I would even say too, would there be a pickup in this situation? Like, Arvidsson was pretty drafted in most leagues I was hanging around in. Skinner maybe, like he might have been panic dropped.
I was looking for streams like foreshadowing. Skinner's super owned. I think Arvidsson might be the only. Yeah, I think Arvidsson dropped down to like something ridiculous, like less than 30%. Yeah, he might be the only one that's available.
So Arvidsson, if anyone is listening, Arvidsson's the main head honcho that you're going to try to target. And even then, I mean, keep him open mind. Yikes! Oh my goodness, 74% ownership on Jeff Skinner. Yeah, okay. So either everyone already had the crystal ball going, or hopefully this is when your diamond hands comes true. You knew Skinner was taking over power play 1 right as the season started. Okay, I guess like rolling on to other news as well. Speaking of, I guess, guys rolling on and catching hot hands, Kevin Lankinen, that is his 3rd straight start on Tuesday. Mind you, they won again as well against Chicago. I mean, Alan, do we think this is that 1A until Demko's return?
It could be. What was the number I saw thrown out there? I think he has like a 9.33 or 9.30 on the season so far, which is very respectable save percentage. And I think
Incredible.
all three of those starts have been quality starts for him. So I think Seelovs has kind of fumbled it, and Lankinen might get, a few starts in a row till he loses one, or he might be the guy until Demko comes back.
Yeah, in those games too. I mean, he's what, 25 plus shots in every one of those games, 25 plus saves in every game, at least in every one as well, with a shutout peppered in, mind you, against Philly. Yeah, I mean, Lankinen. Lankinen's always been a journeyman backup.
Backup. Yeah,
It's
I think he would get kind of little bits of run in Chicago, but again, with the team he had in front of him at the time, yeah. So yeah, this could be his kind of first shot at like more of a starting role.
absolutely.
But a lot more goalie pandemonium today. Tristan Jarry scratched for second straight game in favor of running Nedeljkovic and Blomqvist. I know Craig and I punted Jarry into the sun like a week ago. I don't know. I don't see any reason to hold him. He's been no bueno. Ned, I think they still lost. Yeah, they lost to Calgary, and I think they maybe lost the first game.
So they lost to Winnipeg and then they lost
yeah,
to Calgary. Yeah.
but Ned kept them much closer than Yari.
It's also a tough one, right? Like there's no real pickup in the way where like Bloomquist and Nedeljkovic, I mean, if I had to choose between the two, I'm assuming they're going younger, right? Like Ned is probably not the pickup. I'd probably go Bloomquist, but at the same time,
I would say didn't. Yeah, Ned, I think got 2 starts in a row. Man, I'd say he's the pickup if he's available. I didn't check his ownership, but no,
yeah,
I
but
think they were
that's
both about 20%. Now that I'm
yeah.
thinking about it.
I just looked on it. It says 9% ownership each a piece, which is well, okay, honestly, you could probably take either and go and run with it. The big one with Ned too is it's not as if his trust has been rewarding at all because he's given up 5 goals and then 3 goals with his starts. So
I mean, again, one of those starts was against like the last undefeated team in the league right now in Winnipeg, and they're firing on all cylinders. Calgary, though, I guess I would have expected a little bit more, but I mean, we saw Ned get the run last year for a while, so I think Ned's the grab, unless it's like a back to back.
oh God, that is honestly, I'm so sorry, Pittsburgh Penguins fans and any holders of honestly Jari too in the draft. Like one guy is running 869 and one guy's running 908 in terms of save percentage. And I honestly I don't want to tell you which goalie is which, but just if you're going to Pittsburgh for the netminders, um, be mindful of that net is really the big takeaway here. But yeah, definitely Jari. 6 games in. Who knew? Who
Pun him in
knew?
the sun. Pun
Punt
him
him
into
into the
the
sun.
sun.
Speaking of goalies and teams punting goalies into the sun, Georgiev, the Avs, Georgiev. It seems like Bednar has been saying that Noonan will see some more starts after that win against the Kraken. I mean, what do you think, Alan?
Yeah, no, it sounds like that Bednar was really impressed with his ability to shut it down against Seattle in the latter half of that game. I think we were all waiting for the team to give up on Georgiev. I just don't know why they tried to hang on to him so long, especially since it seems like Kakinen's I think he's in the States now. I don't know if he's still working on the visa stuff, but I would assume you'd have to have that to get in. Yeah, so I would say, I don't know. I don't know if he had dropped Georgiev at this point or wait and see. But for me, with as many injuries as Colorado has, I personally would want at least one of those guys to come back before I rush out and try to get a Noonan. It's still to me, it's like the same three guys plus Ross Colton carrying that team. So some nights it's going to work, some nights it won't.
And I mean, I guess Seattle's a good team to juxtapose against because Seattle is the team where, despite last year, for example, Decord having such a hot start, bailing out teams left, right, and center with solid goaltending play, the contract was just so heavily in Grubauer's favor. Funny enough, Grubauer is also an ex-Avalanche player. But yeah, it was so heavy in Grubauer's favor that eventually they just let him play it back out once once Decord had any drop in form. That's not true for the Avs this year. Georgiev is an unrestricted free agent at the end of the season, right? Like this is game time. This is showtime for Georgiev to honestly pretty much prove himself as an NHL caliber player and probably find a contract elsewhere. I don't see the Avs re-signing him. So
yeah, maybe as a backup somewhere.
Right. But this is probably immense value for a Noonan in the sense that the Avs have every incentive, if the two goalies are side by side, equal footing, to give much more run to the guy that's likely staying on to their team with a better contract than they are to be giving it off to he's proven himself untrustworthily in the crease. So I don't know. Like, I feel really skeptical to say on air, yeah, this is the time to smash the draw button for 91% owns.
No, I
Georgiev.
Yari, yes. Georgiev,
Yeah.
this is where you might need to hold for a minute and see what happens. But yeah, let's get into some injuries. Starting with Vince Dunn on Seattle, placed on LTIR retroactive to the 17th. If I read the LTIR rules right, November 10th is the soonest he could return. So he's going to be out for a minute. 96% owned in Yahoo, so you probably can't go out and grab Brandon Montour. But he's going to see the biggest lift in deployment out of that.
Who's the secondary follow-up? I guess the PP2 that's going to be opened up.
I want to say Riker Evans. I haven't officially looked at it, but I know he got some sneaky looks last season when he got called up from the minors.
Okay. Yeah. It might be one of those situations where it's a more wait and see than anything else, right? In terms of value. Yeah.
Or if you're the one that needs a Dunn replacement, going next man up may not be applicable here.
Probably not. Probably, if anything, like Adam Larson giving you some extra bangs as opposed to power play value.
Bang Daddy with the occasional assist. You'll lose out on the power play time, but Adam Larson, I don't know what his ownership is, but he is probably a good fourth defenseman anyway if you have bang weights.
And notably as well, when you're thinking about a team that is losing an offensive capable player like Vince Dunn is most likely not going to be on the offense going forward as much for the games he's out. Greater opportunities for bangs because you can't hit or block with the puck. You can, though, if the other guys have the puck and you're chasing all game. Adam Larson. Speaking of other guys on injury as well, Slafkovsky, he didn't play on Tuesday. I think he was out listed day to day, and then out and listed day to day, and then kind of rumored to be on the practice arena, and it was like, oh, okay, cool, and then officially listed as out. So the other one I was mentioning to other listeners as well too is Montreal doesn't play until Saturday, right? So Slav is easy, instant IR plus, slot in, grab another guy, just slot in for the remainder of the week. I mean, technically, yes, Kirby Dach is going to be benefiting from this, but you as the manager, you don't need to spend Wednesday, Thursday, Friday as well waiting around, hanging on the halves, grab somebody else that plays during those games.
Yeah. Like I think kind of like you hinted at, Kirby Dach is who slides up into that line one power play one spot. I don't know. I just remember from Chicago, he was one of those either got points or nothing. I kind of think he's maybe one of those better in real life than fantasy hockey situations. So yeah, he's even with, they have a back-to-back Saturday, Sunday, and then 3 games with 2 off nights next week. I think this is another case of rather than next man up, I think I'd rather look to other teams for value there.
He's also sneaky value in leagues where like they count more peripheral stats, right? Like pims, face-offs. Like if you're just even the classic bangers types, like he's he produces enough, but he's 5% owned for a reason. Yeah, I think
But that
Alan's spot
that's
on.
and that center only makes it a real tough sell to
Yeah.
pick up. But Rob Thomas, that guy that plays for the St. Louis Blues, I don't know what other significance that the name could have. He is on IR with a fractured ankle. Is going to be reevaluated in 6 weeks. Braden Shen, who I believe is the captain right now, he is your new 1C power play 1 guy. Are we interested in Shen, Jay?
Yeah, I mean, I have to like follow it up for a bit, right? Like St. Louis kind of is St. Louis interesting or I don't know, tickling the
I don't
pickles,
like that
so to
top
speak?
line though. It's Sod, Shen, and Sunquist. I'm like, no. Brandon Sod hasn't been relevant in God maybe since the Blue Jackets.
I mean, the other one too is like you're looking around and like they have a very interesting top 6 setup as well, right? Like Buchnevich is doing some decent work as well. Jake Neighbors was out for a maintenance day too. Like these are this is an interesting team. Interesting
And I
team for
wonder
sure.
if that's what the Sunquist spot in their practice lines was. It was a placeholder for Neighbors. So
Mm,
Sod, Neighbors, Shen, that's not as bad.
yeah, I'm ugh. Yeah, it's a tough one, right? Like Shen to me, his value was always in any league where there was, like, I don't know, like he's the sneaky face-off guy that you can chuck over into the left wing slot or something, right?
And
But
he
like
gets you some bangs.
some, yeah, like, but I mean, at the end of it, like Rob Thomas and that, wow, this sounds really weird for us to be praising Rob Thomas's offensive prowess, but I guess he was doing some decent work, like, season long proven from last year. And do we think the Blues offensively can capitalize? Like, would Shen in the same opportunities as Rob Thomas be able to produce the same way?
I
Like,
mean, he's been in that spot before on that same team. I remember, I think back in the day, it was like what Shen, Schwartz, Tarasenko.
yeah.
He has line 1 pedigree. I don't know on this side of 30, and then with the roster they have now, if we're really that gun ho to go run out and pick up Shen.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like at a certain point, I want to say my mind blended Braden Shen, Robert Thomas, and Ryan O'Reilly into one blender of like Blues centers, top three lines. But I mean, honestly, that team is always competing for a playoff spot year in year out. If they have a good schedule, and I'm even looking at next week, I don't think the Blues were the ones that stood out to me, but
No.
like if for some chance reason they end up being immensely valuable, nope. Quickly glancing it over, the Blues have a very, very lackluster week for a schedule. You probably are safe to hold off on. Save the ad for now. Save the ad for now.
Cool. Last one. It looks like we have someone coming back. Matty Tkachuk made his return Tuesday night in what was not a pretty game for the Panthers. They lost, I think, 5-1 to Minnesota. Bob got pulled. Which was funny, the timing, because they had just renewed Paul Maurice's contract. And I love,
What
of
a
course,
night.
like I love his quotes. He is such a quotable guy. Like he's like
Machine.
it's like I hope the ink was dry on that because but yeah, Matty Tkachuk made his return back on line 1. But it looks like it knocks Evan Rodriguez off of power play 1. Good riddance. I don't think he did a whole lot. I think Lundell has been sort of the big beneficiary lately. Didn't
And I
look
mean,
like
and
Florida
if
got any power plays in that game. We were trying to look before the show just to see if make sure that he was on that power play 1, but I think it was just illness. Uh,
yeah.
so that would explain why he was back to hitting and shooting.
And I mean, I guess Lindell and Rodriguez are literally the they were slotted up to simultaneously replace respectively Barkov and Kachuk, right? So I guess Kachuk obviously coming back bumps Rodriguez down. I'd expect Lindell to keep his spot until Barkov returns. That's just at least the way I'm envisioning it. But yeah, don't be a bag holder for Rodriguez. Like, he is slottable everywhere with his CLW, CLR eligibility. But he's just not going to get that run time. He's not going to get that play time. So yeah, make sure don't bag hold Evan Rodriguez.
Oh, and with that, it is time for mailbag.
You've got mail.
Mailbag.
I love that AOLs. It's a timeless soundbite. So yeah, DC08 on the Discord. This was more directed to TJ, but it was in the mailbag section of the Discord. We'd love for you guys to talk about Natchez, Jamie Benn, and potential sell high on Gunther coming off of a hot start. Hopefully you started Natchez last night instead of benching him like I did, because he was in on all 3 points Carolina got that night. I'm really not worried about him. He's point per game guy right now. Even that second line of I think I saw the latest was Jack Roslovic, Kotkaniemi, and Natchez. I was worried about Kotkaniemi being a decent 2C, but he's point per game right now. Natchez, I'm absolutely not worried about. I'm holding him. I'm happy to hold him. I just wish I'd played him last night. Real quick glance at Jamie Benn. His problem is he's not shooting. It looks like his deployment hasn't really changed at all compared to the last 2 seasons. He just has like 0 shots for his last, I think, 3 games I saw. But yeah, time on ice is everything is looking the same. But this sell high on Gunther, I'm for it. Depending on who you could get. First thought that pops into my mind is Zach Hyman. If someone would give you Zach Hyman for Dylan Gunther, I would mash accept on that. And maybe some of these other wingers, Jay, like Stamkos is another one I'm thinking of lately, where guy off to a slow start, they're throwing pucks at the net, but just nothing's going in. I don't know. You have any thoughts on these guys?
Yeah, the thing with Gunther as well too, right, is I want to say the 2 teams that immediately come to mind with, I guess, like a player like Gunther would be any team that comes to such a hot start. Either it becomes a team that is breaking out this season, or a team that has so much earth to come crashing back down to. And it's impossible to know which is which, and hindsight is going to make it seem like whichever side you go, you're a genius if you get it. It's starting to feel, after that 4-0 start, like that Utah Hockey Club, like maybe there's a little more. Maybe there's a little more. Maybe it was that what was the injury again? There was an injury, right? That I think it was Jersey, right? Like
Jersey. John Marino, who is less not very fantasy relevant, but yeah, they got some injuries on the back end that are going to hurt them. But even before then, do we really think any of these guys are going to be at least point per game when everything's said and done? Maybe Keller.
Yeah.
But he's about it.
Like, the one that was sticking hard as well is that I think Hyman, I think has Hyman even been on the score sheet this season? Like,
no,
I had it.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's why I think Hyman is the perfect, like,
buy low candidate.
Yeah. Depending on how savvy your league mates are. If you could get Zach Hyman for Dylan Gunther, like someone like Stamkos, who we know those goals are going to come. Paratarin jumping in. We love you hanging out with us,
man.
But yeah, I would try to absolutely, if you can get someone, Dylan Gunther, who you know is going to be better than a 60, 65 point guy. Yeah, mash it.
And I mean, let's see too, right? Like, ideally you would say that Dylan Gunther is going to be, improving, and like, I don't know, the second year improvement, so to speak, right? You're looking at his stats though, and he's still averaging 15 minutes a night. Like, this guy is playing his way up and dropping down. Like, it's a little less steady for me. he's in a similar boat to Alexis Laferriere in the LA setup, where they seem to score and they seem to do things that like put them on highlight reels, and then you look and uncover the box scores and you're like, where the hell are they taking the time and getting the time to do half the stuff they're on the highlights for? Like, you want consistent production. You need ice time to do that. And I just don't know if Gunther's getting that in that deployment.
Not this season. If like 2-3 years from now, Dylan Gunther might just be someone that, hey, this is what we expect from him.
Absolutely. He will. I will say the only Hyman is a really good example, because Hyman is also right wing, left wing eligible, which is crazy, right? Like, for that alone, too, how many guys dual wing with that sort of upside playing with the GOAT you get? But Gunther's also right wing, so I would say that that's pretty scarce as well. Like, if you're, how many goal scoring right wingers do we have in this league just floating around as well? So it it's a toughie. The other one I would say too is, though, if you weren't able to trade Gunther and the schedule didn't favor Utah that week, is he on your list of cuttable drops?
Yeah, I mean, we know Utah got off to a really, really sweet start with those first 3-4 games. But it seems like I don't know, they got shut out against Ottawa last night. Maybe the honeymoon's over. Maybe your sell high window's closed, but it's worth a shot. So there we go. Dilly Guns, sell high if you can. Next is from Pup Sports Group, which so many things you could do with that. Dunn versus Montour rest of season, somewhere TJ just eye twitched. And then Ken Toffoli sustains 60 plus points. And then TJ actually posted some really good stats comparing the two. Statistically, Montour has been the better offensive defenseman this season. It's just that friggin' Seattle does that stupid split power play. So it's really hard to tell if he's getting like the true top unit deployment. We know when Dunn comes back, they're going to slot him into whatever that unit was before. Montour will still get time. But I feel like Montour has a slight peripheral floor that Dunn doesn't really have. I'd say you can't go wrong with either. But Toffoli, can Toffoli sustain 60 plus points? I like the odds of that if Celebrini comes back sooner rather than later. But right now, like him and I think it's Eklund and Granlund are humming along. Yeah, I could see Toffoli making 60 plus points. It seems like he's okay to do it on his own. Just got one in chat here from Amon. Ekblad or Chychrun is a better fourth defenseman in a 12-team points league. No periffs, just 0.5 for plus minus. Man, I kind of like the hot take that Chychrun could take power play 1 from Carlson by the end of the season, whether or not he gets injured. So, yeah, I'd say I feel like Chychrun's path to power play 1 and access to those guns in Washington is a much shorter journey than Ekblad. I'm holding Ekblad out of sheer spite at this point because screw you, Adam Boquist. Yeah, no, Chychrun. I don't know how you feel, Jay. Ekblad or Chychrun is the better fourth D.
Yeah, that's a floor and ceiling question, right? Like, Ekblad reasonably has the higher floor. Chychrun, though, like this season is game or bust for Washington in terms of, well, they're trying to get Ovi that record, right? So whichever guy is going to be available to feed Ovi on the power play is it, right? So if you're wanting in on history, and I mean, I think Carlson has been injured, 3-4 straight seasons in a row, like for stretches. So Chychrun, you just reasonably would assume would get that run. And then I guess the other competition was it Sandine, I guess is the only other guy that could possibly compete with him for that. But I mean, the upside that Chikrin is the Carlson when Carlson gets hurt, I think is just so worthwhile in so many ways, especially there's no Prips to consider as well, right? Which is where you might have kind of dipped into Ekblad. Yeah, I don't know. Safer floor, Ekblad, higher ceiling, definitely Chikrin.
Yeah. All right. So that answers that. So next mailbag question: Odd Pounding. Love the name. Love the. I know longtime listener for us. Who's your favorite buy low attendees? Who do you think is punching above their weight class? Well, first one in my mind as a buy low is Skinner, since Edmonton as a whole is just kind of floundering. Georgiev, if you want to roll the dice on that, obviously buy low. His value is probably near zero right now, especially since the confidence seems to be in a Noonan. I think the buy low on Saros closed last night with that shutout against Boston. I don't know if you have any ideas, Jay.
Yeah, I think PT in the chat is going along the lines where my mind was running a little more. I was thinking about guys that are more, I guess, like waiver wire specific and then have the upside to fly in. So, for example, for context, I held Sam Montembeau for the first part. And that first shutout really was like, oh damn, like that maybe this is the new Canadian goalie, and we're gonna see where it goes.
Oh no, he punched above his weight class. Like there you go. That's the example right there.
Right. I think if you look at the last, I guess, like historical data for the past 6 games or so, Seattle's interesting because every start that Grubauer's gone, they've lost, and every start that obviously Decord's been in, they've won. And not only that, but Decord's been pretty good in the wins too. So I do think they'll continue to trade starts, but how? I mean, if a couple
Would
of
we
guys
buy
are
low on Grubauer though? No. I would rather just own Decord and be done with it.
Absolutely. So I think that's one where if you're looking around and checking and you're seeing, oh, okay, like on the one hand, the contract favors Grubauer for sure, but this team is still going to want to win, and it's not just going to be a bunch of fantasy guys pointing it out. Everyone's going to notice, oh wow, we're winning a heck of a lot more with this goalie. Pretty decent.
So I think Amon here is he's asking about Gustafsson or Stolars. I'm assuming he means the guys punching above their weight class. Stolars, no, he's shown with stretches he can be amazing. He did it in Florida, and I feel like he did it for one other team.
The main one with Stolars too is there's nobody else competing with him for that net, right? It's Hildeby and it's oft injured Wall.
Right, I was gonna say, yeah, weekend at Bernie's Wall. Like, is he real at this point? But no, I think Gus. We've seen that he can be a legitimate starter. I don't know, maybe Alex Lyon, although he's shown in stretches he could be good.
Yeah, there's so many goalies in mini, right? Like, is Gustafsson the goalie for the future? Because I feel like they said that for Wallstead, and then as they say the goalies for the future, they're starting the Flower again, and I'm like, what is going on here? I definitely think Stolars, but Stolars is 76% owned, right?
And you don't buy low on him, but I don't think he's punching above his weight class. I think this is who Stolars is in stretches.
His team is going to get him enough wins that if your league counts wins in bunches, that you'll do well enough. But
and that's why I'm thinking buy low on Skinner if you can, because they're gonna get the wins. They're gonna come. Like, we know they're not gonna. Yeah. It's like I said. My theory with Edmonton is they just need to wake up and realize, like, oh my gosh, like they're not just gonna let us waltz into the finals again, guys. We got to play these 82 games. So then the points and the wins will start coming. But yeah, oh god, buy low on Skinner, I would say he's probably number one target, unless you can think of someone else, Jay.
In redraft leagues too, fascinating goalie. But what do you guys think? The Sens just came off, 2 games. Two
Oh,
games.
that's right. I would
Anton,
say maybe target some of those guys that like haven't really played yet, like Olmark. Someone might have gotten impatient with him. And I feel like there was one other goalie that's been kind of injured. Maybe if someone wants to trade Wall, because I'm sure he might get half a game or something when he comes back before he gets immediately re-injured. Yeah,
absolutely.
target those guys too that really haven't played yet. That maybe that manager has just already forgotten what those guys can do.
Oh shoot, yeah. Like, what do you think about Riddick as well? In with
If he
with
gets wins, he's punching above his weight class, man. Or Kemper.
Kemper.
I mean, if you think LA can turn it around, I would say Kemper would be a buy low at this point because he's injured.
Yeah, it's oh man, scrolling through some of these, I'm gonna have to say, yeah, I hope all of you somehow ended up with Helly on your lineups at the same time. I know it's impossible, but just God,
And
like
here, man, this is why like draft season is always so weird because I was like, yeah, Nashville added all these guys. It's gonna be awesome. So I was excited to have Saros, and then I think you took Hellboy a few picks later, and I'm like, I don't feel good about Winnipeg this season. They really haven't added anything, and now they're top of the standings. That's just um
it's the crapshoot that is fantasy hockey, honestly. My goodness. Could easily have been 4-0 Nashville all the way through.
But Parataran with a legitimate question, over under on Timo getting diminished time on ice because Keefe seemingly uses Timo as his scapegoat, even though the man is carrying that team. I don't know. I think Jay, you've hammered this home a few times. He's just not the guy on Jersey. There's a few of those the guys. So I think really we're looking at like a 70-ish point guy, but he's still doing stuff. I think it'd be silly if they took him out of that top 6. I mean, I just saw they slotted Andre Palat, spoiler alert, in that second line with Hughes. I don't know. I think Keefe is a little better than that than to take one of your best players out of the top 6 like that.
It's like weirdly one of those Team Canada problems that I've thought about before too. God, I just called the New Jersey Devils Team Canada. Listeners, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. But reminds me of those times when Sidney Crosby ended up getting, frick, what was his name? God, like he was on the Pens and he was also, who am I thinking of, Alan? Oh my goodness, it was the guy that just did the grunt work together with him on Team Canada, and you kind of sat there going, why the hell are you even on this team with the stacked talent? But hockey teams aren't played on literal NHL 2024. Like it's an actual game with different roles and
Thank
complementary.
goodness, man. I could not get into 24. I haven't heard anything about 25.
Kunitz.
Oh,
Thank you, Amon.
Kunitz.
Kunitz,
Okay.
Chris Kunitz. God damn it. Okay. But yeah, like Chris Kunitz like was on the same goddamn line as Sidney Crosby, and they won the gold medal. And it's one of those annoying damn things about lineups and teams and us as fantasy managers. You kind of look there and you go, well, I mean, Timo, you got to put them together. Like Jack, you got to put them together. But they both just don't complement each other in play. It's just they don't. So if it's a choice between the two, you're gonna have to lean Jack. That's just the way it rolls. And frick, that kind of sucks for us as Timo holders, but it's not like he's not giving us a floor either, right? Like tons of shots, tons of hits.
He's doing the Timo things. It's just they're tinkering with his deployment.
Yeah. I mean, here's
sorry.
here's the nutty one, Alan. If you look at production, right? Not time on ice, because technically Jack has been getting 3 extra minutes of time on ice all the way through. With 3 less minutes of time on ice, Timo's ended up with 9 points. Jack's ended up with 8 points. I'm going to say the insane part out loud here, but do we see an angle where Timo gets the run instead?
On what top line, top power play? Sorry.
Instead of Jack. I don't see it.
Oh,
I don't
no,
see
no,
it.
no,
That'd
no,
be
no,
insane.
no.
That's the insane part, right? Like where it if that reality can't happen, then Timo's ceiling is capped where it is in the sense where you just aren't gonna have him take over L1 PP1. And so long as he isn't, and if he doesn't work as well, and he's getting to do what he's doing now with only power play 2 time, then I think it just continues to roll as is.
Ooh, I'm on. RNH and Rust just became available in my 12-team points league. Who would you rather have?
Probably Rust.
Honestly, Rust. Yeah.
Probably Rust.
Yeah.
Because
I know RNH has that access to, McJesus and
McDavid,
everything,
yeah.
but I think Rust gets a little bit more involved in play than RNH.
Goal scoring right wingers will always be harder to find than goal scoring left wingers. Just
And assist guys.
pure basis and assist guys. So pure basis.
But yeah,
Rust,
last mailbag question here. D-Stew on Discord. Is Colton a hold and a 10-team points banger? I just got the eye twitch. Need to drop one of DeBrusque or Peterka to keep. Leaning dropping DeBrusque. Yeah, that's who I'd, especially in a 10-team. Colton is a streamer. He hold him as long as he gets that deployment. But as soon as he loses it, you like Jari, you punt him into the sun, man. Like you, despite what other pundits might say about Colton analytically and everything, I watched him in Tampa. Like he is he's getting that deployment because there's no one else left. So, and he's actually doing something with it, which is great. But yeah, that's not a permanent spot for him.
Just to pause here, we just skipped over Peterka, and I'm like, wait, hold on. Like, what? Why are we keeping line 1 power play 1 for the team that's like bottom of the league? Like, is he doesn't hit, he doesn't block, like he doesn't take any faceoffs. He's playing 60 minutes a night, and he gets an outsized bump because he's managed 4 goals, which is insane, right? He's converting 4 goals on 11 shots so far in the season. That's pretty incredible. I wouldn't hesitate to drop Peterka, like unless Buffalo has
especially
some insane...
in 10-team. I think both of those guys might be like waiver wire guys. I mean, more so DeBrusque to me. Like he's getting the lesser deployment. But question here, going back to goalies.
Wait, and getting shot or stabbed just became available in my league. Oh man, incredible. So Alan, there was one comment right from the top that I did want to get back onto though. I think it was all the way up with the Toffoli question. Oh, sorry, it was in the chat.
Oh no, someone is making a comment that the offense pretty much runs through Celebrini and Toffoli this season. I think 60 plus points, sure.
Yeah, I absolutely think that team is set up to funnel a Timo style player. We've seen it in 22-23. That was Timo himself. We've seen it in 23-24. That was Hurdle himself. Both those guys ended up getting funneled off to other teams midway through the season. So it's almost, if anything, you need to be aware that once you get that guy and enjoy the deployment, he will leave the team because he will become trade value bait and like ported off elsewhere. Frick, Alan, are we just describing Toffoli like trade season?
Yeah, we're talking about Toffoli. But this question from Hockey Burner here: what do you think about Barbashev and Stolarz for Ullmark? Going back to the buying low on goalies, and it says wins to. I'm assuming a loss is -1. Goals against are -2, and then saves are 0.25. I'm not a big fan of that scoring system.
I love the takeaways.
I mean, in terms of getting like a bona fide starter, that's a great trade.
How much do you get for a goal in this league? I need to know.
I know, right?
Like,
this scoring is
interesting.
I don't know.
Do you get 6 points for a goal? Or no? Anyways,
I don't know, Jay. I almost would rather hang on to Barbashev and Stellars. Because there's no guarantee that Wool is ever coming back.
Nope, absolutely not. No.
He could keep stubbing his toe or something. And Barbashev, that line is the line in Vegas is like the one doing anything. I'd rather have it was
Olofson's still out, right? Like it's.
Oh yeah, well
it's
he's not gonna see line one. The only place, or no, I don't even think Barbashev got power play one. Since Olofsson's been out, I want to say it was Dorofeyev.
I The other one I would say too is Olmark is a weird question mark where he's been buffed up with seasons past of half starts, right? So the guys just doesn't have the same volume, and he honestly has been pretty unsuccessful when he was on Buffalo previously. It was only when they got good system, good goaltending. And I mean, honestly, look at Boston. Like I feel like they could, I don't know, Alan, like you'd probably suit you or I up there and probably we'd do pretty well, for the Boston D setup there.
Yeah.
It's
so it'll actually be
tough.
interesting when Olmark comes back, like who he is
Yes.
with the Sens.
Absolutely.
But I know I'd rather have Stolar right now and Barbashev.
I think so too.
Because I don't know. Remember, October hockey is different from the rest of the year. So Sens are they're doing all right now, but will that hold? I don't know. But
and the other one too is you want actually to be on the Barbashev and Stolar's train side where you're thinking you need to secure and lock in wins early. We are 8% of the way through the season already. So if you lock in the wins now with Stolar's early, you don't want to be relying on the hypothetical victories that, well, I don't know what like Olmark can possibly bring you later on the season. Who knows if they're tanking later on the season? It's Ottawa. Who knows?
But yeah, Parataran asking us for team name advice. I'm partial to book hockey. Anyway, let's get into the weekend preview. Best schedules. There is one team that plays Thursday, Friday, Sunday. It is Jersey. So hopefully you pick these guys up before everyone else did. But for some reason, Stefan Nason is still 20% owned. All his numbers reek of unsustainable right now, but this is the perfect idea of a stream, not someone you hang on to forever. Nason's a guy you gotta ride while he's hot. Maybe it's like a last resort stream, Andre Palat. But just from his Tampa days, I will warn you, he's one of those guys that's a better real life hockey player than fantasy. And right now, or at least today, he was on the line at practice with Hughes and Bratt. But I wouldn't count on him showing up on the box score, but worth a shot if there was absolutely no one else available. I don't know if there's anyone else you were looking at, Jay.
Big one is Jake Allen. He's going to be on that back-to-back, and I'm trying to see who they're looking and facing. They're facing the Islanders. I mean, that game's probably going to be tight, but again, that game's probably going to be against probably Varlamov, right? Not Sorokin. So, I mean,
maybe.
that
and Islanders are hurting right now anyway for any sort of offense.
Yes,
so that could be a solid game. I just oh man, I made the mistake of starting them last night. I'm thinking, you know what? Let's roll the dice, man. I'm always scared to start guys against Tampa, but yeah, we'll roll with it. That was a terrible idea. And I guess Hockey Burner, one more question. Did you guys mention Lindell? I didn't see that question in the Discord. I mean, I'd say he's still worth holding as long as Barkov's out, but the latest I've heard on his timeline was he'll be back for the global game beginning in November. But yeah, I'd say he's a good hold while Barkov's still out.
And I mean, it really depends on the 12-teamer, 10-teamer, how deep your leagues are. Like, I would say, roughly speaking, if it's just a simple straight up team of 12 teams, 17 roster spots, I think Lindell is on that cusp where Florida doesn't have a crazy schedule this coming week. That's probably Lindell is probably that setup of if you need a guy, there's nobody else you could drop and pick back up. Lindell probably is that guy for no other reason aside from, do you even know who Anton Lindell is? You probably do because you follow hockey and watch fantasy hockey. I guarantee you most folks know who Drake Batherson is and have no idea who Anton Lindell is. If you drop a Drake Batherson, he's never coming back. You do the same thing with Anton Lindell. He's just an extra dude on your roster hanging out on the waiver wire. That's it. He's going to be there, bouncing back up like a boomerang.
Yeah, Parataran real quick before we keep going on the weekend preview there. Brady Tkachuk with fewer hits than Stutz, lingering injury, or just more tame play to start. Man, if he's not hitting or hitting much less, that's usually always typically a sign of injury there. But I guess I haven't seen like his other base stats to compare. But back to schedule, Friday, Sunday. You got a few teams there. Edmonton, we just mentioned earlier. Skinner, very highly owned still. Of note, Podkolzin skated on line 2 today with Draisaitl and Arvidsson. Something to watch. I don't know if I'd go run out and pick him up, but something to keep in mind. Arvidsson, it sounds like, might be the guy to keep a very close eye on, or just maybe pick up right now because he's still got that line 2 deployment in Draisaitl, who can absolutely drive a line on his own. And power play 1, at least for today. Henrique, if you really need depth, he was good enough to be at 1, 2C on other teams. Now he's a 3C. Won't get much time on ice. I think power play 2. I think we said earlier. I don't know, Jay, if there's anyone else.
I think Henrique is probably your highest chance dude that can contribute.
Yeah. Assuming regular deployments.
Yeah. Assuming regular deployment.
Then the other team Friday, Sunday is Ottawa. Somehow, guys, Josh Norris is only 22%. I know I even fell for it this season, so I've missed out on him already. That injury bug, Band-Aid boy. Right? Yeah. But so far he's point per game. I know he's C only, again. It makes him kind of hard to fit in, but Friday, Sunday, you should definitely have room for him. I'd say he's a guy that most people should, unless you're maybe even in a 10-team league, might be too shallow, but I would say, yeah, deeper leagues, like he's probably someone you want to maybe add long-term. And then we got Mike Amadio on the top line. Are you interested in him at all, Jay? I'm not. I'd rather get Norris if I could.
Yeah, the other one too is on that team. If there is another guy to target, I'd probably just say like
Forsberg, depending on if Ullmark actually comes back.
It's tough because I've been playing in leagues that have expanded over time to count more cats, count more things and everything. And so like fantasy relevant stats might not be relevant for everyone, for example, in terms of like face-off wins, right? But face-off wins, for example, are something where Shane Pinto comes to mind. And I think he is just a dude that can slot up to Norris's position if Norris ever gets hurt. It's a Mia Mario.
So actually Pinto is actually who I picked up as my send stream for the week. I think he got a power play goal last night, actually. So that was paying off for me already.
He got a power play assist 2 nights ago.
Oh, was it assist?
Yeah, power play assist 2 nights ago. But yeah, like it's the other one I was going to touch on too with the Brady Tkachuk with less hits than Stutz is it might be a lingering injury. It could also be tame play to start. It could also be neither. What I mean to say is, again, since hits and blocks are inherently stats you only accrue if you don't have the puck and don't have possession. As Ottawa gets healthy and as Ottawa gets better, reasonably, those stats are just going to dwindle to the same scale that we were used to. Like Tkachuk used to shoot as much as he hit, and he shot like a ton. So it's weird because obviously he's been producing like crazy. He's got 8 points in 6 games. Like this guy's good. Like I was watching the Face-Off series on Prime the other day, and you see just how, I guess, like hockey engrossed that family is. And geez, if Ottawa plays like this, it's not out of, it's not insane to say this could be a playoff bound team where anything could happen. But the thing that's coming with that part and parcel is that he's not going to be that same fantasy hitting monster if they have the puck and can score more and are dominating play and possession more. Just is what it is.
Like they did it against Utah last night.
Absolutely.
Getting into some goalie streams. Friday, Saturday back-to-backs. Chicago, Nashville, and Dallas. I mean, I know Mrazek is maybe someone you own in a deeper league, but I wouldn't stream someone against those teams.
No.
Nashville sees Chicago and Columbus. Scott Wedgwood stream, maybe.
Absolutely.
I'd say that's a good possibility
Absolutely.
there. New York Islanders, they see Jersey and Florida. I would not start Varley against either one of those teams.
But nobody scores, Alan. Maybe this
exactly.
is just the way.
He's not going to get goal support. So maybe in a stats league you could, but I wouldn't. No, not in a wins league. Pittsburgh sees Edmonton and Vancouver. I think, like we said earlier, Ned might kind of be a longer term pickup. And Edmonton, you never know which version of them you're going to get right now. But Vancouver, I don't know how I'd feel about starting. I mean, maybe Ned. I don't know if I'd pick up Blomqvist for a stream against Vancouver, though. Vegas, Ottawa, and San Jose. Two winnable, very winnable games. Unfortunately, you're just going to have to go check on Samsonov. He's 65% owned.
Eden Hill's the other guy, I guess,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
Eden Hill.
Which I was surprised Samsonov was that highly owned already. But he has, Samsonov's been really good. I think he saw his second straight start or something recently. But I think all three of his starts have been quality starts so far this season.
No, Samsonov is playing way better than Eden Hill, honestly, too. Like it. Your just go check is probably going to be the lowest ownership he's had this season.
But Big Cannoli.
Drop Hill.
Big Cannoli, no, you should not drop Hill. At least not yet.
Not yet. He's not on Forgiev level quite yet.
No, it's not bad. He just may not get as many starts. But Saturday, Sunday back-to-backs, Anaheim, absolutely not. I know Dostal is starting to pick up steam, but against New York Rangers and New Jersey, no, thank you. Detroit sees Buffalo and Edmonton. I would want the Buffalo game. That seems like a little bit better one. Alex Lyon has been playing better, been the better goalie recently. He's only at 16% ownership. All right.
It's one of those quotes that gets better and better if you reread it over and over.
Oh man, this is why you should join us in the YouTube for these live shows. It's a good time. Montreal, St. Louis, and Philly. I think those are two winnable games for Montreal. I don't know if I'd run out and grab one of those goalies.
I don't know if they can win against. Well, they obviously can win against St. Louis. It depends too.
Mustang Montembeault, Vezina candidate. Like, come on, man.
St. Louis is in a weird one too, Alan. I would even say where that team has the contract going toward Binnington, but Hofer, man, my goodness, the dude has been lights out. 3 wins for 3 starts. He's got a shutout. He's got the last 2 starts. Like, Hofer is a weird one where I don't think the contract favors him, but at the same time, my goodness, he's what? Currently 20% owned. Like, this guy, I don't know. Definitely pick him up for the back-to-back to see what. Oh, no, sorry, not the back-to-back. Sorry. Well, but would be worthwhile to see how he does over this weekend. And, geez, if that's another, like, win, if that's another shutout win, Christ, I don't know. The ads are going to be smashing at the end of the week.
Speaking of St. Louis, what the Falk? Hold or drop? I don't know, man. Someone beat me to him in the listener league because TJ tipped everyone off. I've been keeping an eye on Broberg, man. I don't know if Broberg's getting power play one time, but he's kind of point per game so far to start the season.
Crazy shit to say. My goodness. Holy moly.
But yeah.
No. Oh my goodness. Wait, come on. Justin Folk's still 4.7 games, still getting hits and blocks. Oh, come on. No. Hold. Easy hold.
All right.
Wait. What's the whole thing with the Ambien?
St. Louis should change their emblem to Ambien because they put you to sleep. Falk for Devon Tays. Is Tays even playing yet? I think he's still
I
out.
think he just came. Did he just come back? Was that the one? Like, it. Come on, like Folk's upside is PP1, D1.
Even when
right?
Krug was still in with the team,
Right.
Falk was still a very holdable guy. Yeah, no,
I don't know. Devon Tate, Devon Taves is one assist. So technically, yes, there is nowhere to go but up, but also there's still a capped version to how up he can go, right? Like, I don't know. I wouldn't. I
Oh
mean,
my god,
big
yeah.
feeling,
In
I would not.
14 teams, you're really not going to find many comparable defensemen with that
Yeah.
kind of deployment.
No.
But yeah, last thing of note, prepping for next week. Best schedule. San Jose does have a back-to-back to start next week, and I think their overall schedule is pretty good. Man, William Eklund, I gotta say, has been like a streamer with benefits for me. I think I picked him up for last weekend, and I'm just like, he's been just kind of just consistent enough. I can't let him go.
And their whole team is like that, right? Their whole team, you just look there and it's like Mikael Granlund's hanging out. 20, yeah, all the Luds, yeah, Granlund, Zetterlund, Eklund. They're all like under 30%, like 20%, 15% ownership, like 100% snag all of them. Geez, even like Wallman, L1,
Yeah.
PP1, 10%.
Wallman, yeah.
Hell yeah.
But last viewer question before we shut it down. Parataran, is it time to worry about Faber averaging about 25 minutes a night, but only has 3 assists in 6 games? Half a point per game so far. That's not bad. I mean,
pretty good.
I wouldn't say we panic yet because it'd be, again, who could you pick up for Faber that could be an upgrade that's going to get similar deployment?
I can see the concern with his peripheral production. Does that make sense? Like, he kind of has that same issue with it was like the Matt Dumba problem, right? Where he gets, probably half a point per game, but then also if he doesn't do anything else with that, deployment, he's just going to slide down. The guy I was noticing too in my Bangs league when I'm looking up is Jake Middleton, right? Like, Jake Middleton's right up there, gets D1. And honestly, just with D1, he just did so much peripherally. Grab him, if that's your goal in terms of. I'm not saying drop Brock in order to get Jake Middleton. I'm saying if you're looking to supplement other peripherals that Brock might not give you, try to add Jake Middleton onto that.
But yeah, I'd say let's go ahead, bring her in, Jay. That's gonna do it for tonight. Again, the housekeeping stuff. Follow us on Twitter. Actually, I think Aman in the chat's been. I think he joined us through Twitter tonight. Yeah, make sure to follow us on Twitter. We're on the YouTube now. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. Hoping you guys can help us out there. And then make sure to like and subscribe to us on wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, all that fun stuff. And this Saturday, we're actually going to be bringing the Sit Start Saturday back. I just had to get through these first couple weeks of the season. I had a bunch of stuff going on, but we'll be doing that 11 to 12 Eastern before all the games start. If you can't make the live show for that, throw your questions in the Discord because those are typically what we go through if no one's asking live questions. But I think that's it tonight, guys. Hopefully we'll get the full shit show again in the near future. Keep an eye out for that. But yeah, good night, everyone. Love yous.
Guess we'll pick you up later.
Nuggets.